Bonjour. Hi. Good morning. Um, it's a little plastic board there. I want to start off by outlining some of the things that we're going to be fighting for. First off, in about a month's time, Canadians aren't sure how they're going to be able to pay the bills or put food on the table. So we want to make sure that Canadians who need help continue to get that help. So we'll be pushing the government to extend CERB until Canadians can get back to work, until people can have a job to put food on the table. So that's first and foremost. People are worried about how they're going to pay the bills. We want to make sure Canadians know that CERB will be there for them as long as they need it. That's one. Two, I want to take a moment to talk about this. While on the weekend, the Prime Minister took a knee, did a symbolic gesture, at the same time, the same government, the Prime Minister Trudeau's government, was drafting a bill to punish people who need help, who are desperate, who are struggling, and to threaten to put them in jail and to give these people who need help massive penalties. And if we take a moment to think about how hypocritical the gesture is now, knowing this, the Prime Minister admitted that the people who are most impacted by COVID-19 are racialized people. We're in a moment where we're talking about police brutality, over-incarceration of people, and they're putting forward, what we're hearing is bills that will criminalize people who just applied because they needed help. At the same time, the government's own spokespeople, MPs, like the parliamentary secretary, Adam Vaughan, were out on Twitter telling people, just apply, don't worry. We had Minister Qualtrough saying, no, people won't be penalized. And they supported our motion in the House, which said that no one would be unduly penalized. Despite all of this on one hand, and the Prime Minister taking a knee, they wrote a bill that, as far as we know right now, the details put out right now, is one that's going to criminalize someone retroactively for applying with massive fines and potentially jail time. That is going to put more vulnerable people at risk. That's exactly what we should not be doing, putting desperate people at risk for criminal charges and incarceration. This is wholly irresponsible. It's wrong-headed. It is the exact opposite of what needs to happen. It seems like the Liberals have adopted the conservative frame that you need to make people desperate to get back to work. They're adopting the same position and talking points as the Conservatives. What we've said from the beginning, and we'll continue to say, for people to get back to work, they want to work. Work has to be safe. They need to know that they have paid sick leave and that they have access to childcare. If those conditions are there, people will work. Absolutely, and they want to work. And I reject the conservative and liberal framing that people need to be desperate to be able to work. I think that's a wrong approach. Donc, ce qu'on va faire, premièrement, ce qu'on va pousser le gouvernement de faire, c'est, premièrement, c'est le fait que dans un mois, les familles, les gens, ils ont peur qu'ils ne peuvent pas continuer de payer les factures ou acheter la bouffe, la nourriture. Donc, on veut s'assurer qu'on prolonge la PCU jusqu'au moment que les gens peuvent retourner au travail. Donc, pour tout le monde qui ont peur maintenant, on veut prolonger la PCU pour les donner l'aide dont ils ont besoin, premièrement. Deuxièmement, le gouvernement libéral, le Premier ministre a fait un geste symbolique en même temps que le gouvernement est en processus, est en train de présenter un projet de loi qui va punir les gens qui veulent nourrir leur famille. Ils vont effectivement essayer de punir les gens qui sont dans une situation de difficulté. En même temps qu'ils ont fait un geste symbolique parce qu'on est dans un moment où on parle de profilage racial, l'abus de pouvoir des policiers, le fait qu'il y a trop de gens racisés dans les prisons, mais ils veulent mettre plus de gens dans les prisons à cause de leur désespération. C'est répréhensible, irresponsable comme action du gouvernement. Et ça montre aussi une hypocrisie. Et je rejette cette approche. Je pense que les gens veulent travailler, mais il faut s'assurer que le travail est sécuritaire, que les gens ont accès à un congé de maladie payé et ils ont accès aux services de garde. Ça, c'est les conditions qu'il faut créer pour s'assurer que les gens peuvent travailler. Donc, on va faire, ce sont les priorités pour nous et on va avancer ces enjeux et je suis prêt pour les questions. Merci. Thank you. I'm ready for any questions.
We'll now start the question period, starting with question on the phone. A quick reminder, one question, one follow-up. Nous allons commencer la période des questions, débutant avec les questions téléphone. Un petit rappel, une question de suivi. Operator, do we have a first question?
Yes, thank you. Merci. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. Et la première question est de Christian Noël, Radio-Canada. À vous la parole.
Bonjour, M. Singh.
Bonjour, Christian
Noël. Écoutez, je comprends qu'il y a des gens qui ont besoin de la PCU et qui veulent nourrir leur famille. Mais si je comprends bien, le projet de loi, c'est pas pour punir ceux qui ont appliqué, c'est pour punir ceux qui ont fraudé. Est-ce que vous ne voulez pas punir ceux qui ont fraudé le système?
Mais si on prend un moment de réfléchir sur ce qu'ils ont proposé, il y a quelques éléments qui ne sont pas clairs. Il y a des gens qui n'étaient pas exactement sûrs s'ils qualifient pour l'aide, mais ils ont vraiment besoin d'aide. La plupart des gens, ils ont fait une application parce qu'ils ont besoin d'aide. Et je crois que ça, c'est la réalité pour la plupart des personnes parce qu'on sait que l'économie était dans une position tellement mauvaise. Ça veut dire que beaucoup de monde, ils ont perdu leurs emplois. Donc, je crois pour la grande partie de la population, ils ont fait l'application parce qu'ils ont besoin d'aide. Beaucoup de monde, tout le monde a besoin d'aide. Et le fait qu'au lieu de dire qu'on va s'assurer avec notre système de fiscalité qu'on va chercher l'argent des gens qui n'ont pas besoin d'argent, on peut utiliser le système de fiscalité. Ça a du raison. Mais ce que le gouvernement propose, pendant un moment qu'on parle de le fait qu'il y a trop de gens racisés dans les prisons, le moment qu'on parle de la profilage racial, qu'on en parle de l'abus du pouvoir des policiers, le fait que le gouvernement est en train de créer une nouvelle sorte de façon de punir les gens et ça va créer un danger d'impacter les plus vulnérables. Comme tous les projets de loi, la justice criminelle, ça touche les plus vulnérables. Donc, ce qu'il propose de faire, ça va impacter les plus vulnérables. C'est exactement l'opposé de ce qu'il faut faire et l'opposé de ce moment. Et ça montre la hypocrisie de la geste symbolique de Justin Trudeau.
Donc, si je comprends bien, vous ne faites pas confiance au système de faire la différence entre quelqu'un qui pensait peut-être y avoir droit, puis finalement, il n'y avait pas droit et qui devrait rembourser, il l'a reçu, et quelqu'un qui, de façon volontaire, a volé l'identité de quelqu'un pour essayer de frauder le système. Pour vous ne faites pas de différence. La personne qui a fait une erreur et le fraudeur, les deux ne devraient pas payer.
Les détails, ce n'est pas exactement clair, mais ce que le gouvernement a proposé, effectivement, c'est de créer des punissements pour les gens qui sont dans un domaine pas exactement clair. Mais en même temps, le gouvernement a dit que si vous n'êtes pas tellement clair, si vous qualifiez pour l'aide, vous pouvez faire une application. Vous devez le faire. On a eu Adam Vaughan, qui est un membre, pas seulement du caucus, un membre du gouvernement. Il a encouragé les gens de faire une application. Et maintenant, il y a une situation où les gens qui n'étaient pas exactement sûrs, maintenant, ils sont dans péril d'être un criminel. Et ça, c'est pas ce qu'il faut faire. On a un système de fiscalité. On peut s'assurer que les gens qui n'ont pas le droit de recevoir quelque chose, qu'on peut utiliser le système de fiscalité pour retourner l'argent. Mais ce n'est pas, il n'y a pas une raison d'utiliser la justice criminelle où on peut utiliser le système de fiscalité. Et ça, c'est la différence de notre approche. On peut, et il faut vérifier comme les financements en général, mais on peut utiliser notre système de fiscalité pour le faire au lieu d'utiliser le pouvoir de justice criminelle qui est exactement l'opposé de ce que les gens veulent dans ce moment qu'on en parle de changement systémique et de racisme systémique. On ne doit pas utiliser les droits criminels, il faut utiliser le système de fiscalité.
Opérateur, prochaine question.
Thank you, merci. La question suivante est de Hélène Buzetti, Le Devoir. La parole est à vous.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Singh.
Bonjour.
J'avoue, je suis pas certaine de comprendre le lien que vous faites entre le mouvement actuel sur le racisme et les pénalités. Le projet de loi, il parle de viser les fraudeurs. Est-ce que vous êtes en train de dire que les fraudeurs seront tous des Noirs? Je comprends pas ce que vous êtes en train de dire. N'est-ce pas raciste de dire que vous voulez pas pénaliser des gens parce que vous présumez que ceux qui seront des fraudeurs seront des gens racisés?
C'est exactement, cette question c'est nécessaire, mais cette question montre le problème dans notre société. Le fait que les gens ne savent pas que la justice criminelle, les changements, si on a des additionnelles façons de punir quelqu'un, ça va toujours impacter les plus vulnérables. Ça, c'est la réalité. Et ça, c'est pourquoi on est dans une situation où la grande majorité des gens qui sont dans les prisons sont des personnes racisées, parce que les lois et comment on applique ces lois impactent les gens racisés et les gens les plus vulnérables. Le Premier ministre aussi, il a admis que les gens les plus frappés sont les plus vulnérables, ça veut dire les gens racisés. Donc, avec cette approche de criminalité, dans une situation où les gens ont besoin d'aide, c'est clair que tout le monde, pendant une pandémie, les gens qui ont fait une application, c'est des gens qui ont besoin d'aide. Et le gouvernement a dit que vous pouvez faire une application, vous devez le faire. Et ils ont aussi exigé les gens qui n'étaient pas exactement clairs s'ils doivent le faire ou non. On a eu quelques ministres, un ministre et un député du gouvernement. Les deux ont dit que oui, vous devez le faire et on ne va pas punir les gens. Au lieu de prendre une action de criminalité, un chemin de punir les gens, on peut utiliser notre système de fiscalité. Et ça, c'est la différence. L'approche de ne pas utiliser la justice criminelle, mais utiliser le système de fiscalité. Et on parle maintenant des gens qui ont besoin d'aide. Mais le gouvernement ne parle pas des gens qui sont des millionnaires, des gens qui cachent leur argent dans les paradis fiscaux, où on peut trouver des milliards de dollars. Ici, on parle des gens qui étaient dans une situation de difficulté et le gouvernement veut le punir. Ça, c'est horrible comme approche. So I just I was asked to repeat this in English. This question is very important because it shows the problem in our society. The problem is that people don't realize whenever there's a new punishment, whenever there's a new law, criminal law, it's going to impact the most vulnerable. The richest people in society, the wealthiest and most powerful people in society aren't impacted by criminal law changes. The poorest people are most impacted. And the poorest people also happen to be the most vulnerable, who are also racialized. So every time the government takes an approach of punishing someone with criminal laws, it is going to impact the most vulnerable in society, which means it's going to impact racialized people. And that is exactly the moment we're in right now. We're talking about police brutality, the over-incarceration of Black and Indigenous lives. Then this is a moment where we're supposed to realize that it's not right to go down a path of punishing people because they needed some help, punishing people criminally because they needed help. We can use our tax system. The tax system is designed to make sure those who can pay their fair share pay their fair share. That's the approach we should take, not a criminal justice approach, particularly in this moment when we're saying we need to stop incarcerating people. We need to stop police violence. We need to stop the system that's been systematically putting more and more racialized people in jail. And that's exactly why the question is important, but it's important to point out that this is something that's obvious to racialized people. This is something that's obvious to Black and Indigenous people, but it's not so obvious to everyone else. And that's why it's important that we talk about this.
Oui, mais en même temps, M. Singh, selon votre logique, excusez-moi, il y a un écho là. Selon votre logique, on n'utiliserait plus le droit criminel jamais pour punir des mauvais comportements, parce que vous parlez de gens qui ont besoin, mais les gens qui ont fait des demandes et qui n'avaient pas droit au programme ont la capacité de rembourser sans pénalité. On parle ici de fraudeurs. Donc, vous êtes en train de nous dire que le droit criminel, on ne doit plus y avoir recours parce que peut-être on va prendre dans les mailles du filet des personnes racisées?
Je pense que oui, on est dans un moment où il faut penser d'une nouvelle façon de comment on allait de l'avant. Oui, il faut penser de nouvelles façons. Et l'idée dans le passé, c'était punir les gens tout le temps, punir les gens tout le temps, mettre les gens dans les prisons. Et c'est exactement le problème. Cette façon de penser, c'est le problème. Si on veut retrouver l'argent, il y a beaucoup des autres outils qu'on peut utiliser. Et l'idée d'utiliser la justice criminelle dans une pandémie, dans un moment où les gens font face à des grands défis, ce n'est pas juste. C'est une erreur de faire ça. Ce qu'il faut faire, c'est utiliser le système de fiscalité. Et c'était d'encourager des programmes qui aident tout le monde. Et de penser, on a une occasion maintenant de changer la direction de la société. Et le gouvernement libéral encore répète les mêmes erreurs de le passé. Et on exige que le gouvernement ne prend pas ce chemin. Il y a une autre façon de travailler où on peut atteindre le même but sans avoir l'impact de toucher les gens les plus vulnérables dans une mauvaise façon. Et c'est ce que j'exige le gouvernement de faire. Et j'exige la société en général de faire.
Opérateur, prochaine question.
Merci. Thank you. The next question is from Mike Blanchfield of the Canadian Press. Your line is now open. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. Thanks for talking to us.
Of course. Good morning.
What do you propose to make this better? Are you going to propose changes? What would you be willing to support? Let's say you mentioned tax measures and whatnot. I mean, where are you going with this?
Yeah, certainly. So some of the things that we want to see, first off, we actually want to see an extension of the CERB. That's something that we're looking for first and foremost. The reason being is we're in a pandemic. Lots of people have lost their jobs. Lots of sectors aren't opening up. Lots of places of work aren't opening up. There aren't childcare available for many families. And the CERB is going to run out in a month. And so there's so many families that are right now thinking, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? That should not be what's going on through people's minds. So I want to first off see an extension of the CERB for people who need it. Secondly, what I want to see is completely removing the penalty approach. The criminal approach, putting people in jail, giving people massive fines is not the right approach. There are far better tools, particularly in a pandemic, that we should be using. We could use a tax system. We could find ways to recover funds that need to be recovered. There's ways to do that. We've got really incredible tools at our hands, but we should not be using the criminal justice system in a pandemic, particularly in this moment when we're talking about the fact that people who are vulnerable are being put in jail and police abuse of power, and we're talking about racial profiling. In this moment, it should not be, the government should have understood that this is not the moment to be talking about additional penalties and additional criminality or additional criminal sanctions. That's the wrong approach. So those are two starting points. And finally, we'd like to see some movement on paid sick leave. The government made a commitment to Canadians. The Prime Minister made a commitment to Canadians. And that's an important commitment. We want to continue to push to make that happen. And it's something that we believe is very important. We know Canadians believe is important. So those are some three things that we're hoping to see some movement on, and we're prepared to keep on having a conversation. But these are things that we're going to be very firm on.
And would you clarify exactly when you've actually seen this bill, when you were shown it in its draft form? I presumably this is what's going on here. Can you clarify that a bit?
Sure. The bill has been made public in some media outlets, so it's available. Some of the potential contents are made public, and the bill specifically was given to us on the weekend.
Already told us, but like, how was it? Was it the Liberals give you the bill to get your support or to give you a heads up? Can you explain the context of that, please?
Sure, I believe that's their intention. They gave it to all parties to find a way to have some support, and based on what we've seen in the public, based on what's been reported on, this is not something that as it stands we could support, particularly the fact that there's no extension of the CERB and the penalties. That just seems to be the absolutely wrong approach to this problem.
We'll now go to questions in the room. Nous prenons maintenant les questions dans la salle.
Mr. Singh, Mackenzie Gray with CTV News. I want to ask you, to start off, one of the things that the protesters have been discussing is the idea of defunding the police, taking a portion of the police budget and moving it towards programs in racialized communities. As a former defense lawyer, obviously you worked with the police quite extensively in your previous career. Do you think this would be a good idea and would actually be an important way to bridge some of the issues that are being brought up right now?
Yeah, what I think is, I think if we look at some clear examples, and I raised this yesterday, but I think it's a really important question. You know, I mentioned the names of DeAndre Campbell in Brampton, Regis Courchincy-Paquette in Toronto, and Chantel Moore in Edmundston. And these are all folks, you know, two of these people were Black community, one Indigenous community. The police were called for wellness checks or for mental health concerns. And police responded, and these human beings were killed. And that really, in a chilling way, points out maybe we should not be spending money on the police responding to a wellness check or to a mental health check. We should be spending money on a mental health worker or a social worker or a healthcare response. And that's essentially what people are asking for. In many cases, if we want to make a community safer, we can make communities safer with more affordable housing, with better jobs, and investments in community programs. So if we put money towards that and prioritize that over spending money on police, we could actually get a better result. And really, at the end of the day, people want to have safer communities, and they want to know that if their loved ones ever need a wellness check or a mental health check, that they're not going to be killed. And that is a very real demand. And I think that there's a real path to achieving that by reprioritizing how we spend our money.
So from a federal perspective then, you'd be comfortable with the Prime Minister taking a portion of the RCMP budget and shifting that towards these programs that you're speaking of, correct? Right.
One example is in the Edmundston case with Chantel Moore, it was RCMP that responded. And instead of funding a RCMP officer to respond, that should have been funding that went to a mental health worker to respond to that crisis or that wellness check. It could have been a healthcare worker that responded to that wellness check. And for a lot of Indigenous and racialized people, seeing an armed police officer at the door doesn't make them feel safer or isn't going to help in a wellness check. And instead, we should be sending people that are trained in ensuring someone is going to be feeling better. And that's where money should be going. So I think there is a real clear connection between what we're seeing as a problem and a way to fix that by reprioritizing how we spend our money.
To that effect, then, one of the things that people have brought up, and I asked you about this last week, was body cameras. You said that it's a good idea. A lot of conversation online about this week, saying, well, maybe they aren't as effective. The jury's still out on that. Sandy Hudson from Black Lives Matter has said that that's not something that should be brought in place. Adam Vaughn yesterday on Twitter, too, was saying, well, we don't want to give more money to the police, so they should have to sell some things to be able to buy the body cameras. With this idea of defunding the police taking more of a hold in the protest movement right now, will you reconsider your position on having body cameras within the police?
Well, body cameras were never a complete solution. It's an extra lens of accountability, and accountability is always important. If we can ensure that police are held to account with independent investigations and civilian oversight, those are all important things. In addition, the body camera argument is for accountability, but by no means is it the full solution. And I think Ms. Hudson's arguments were very compelling. And what I'm saying today is we should really look at reprioritizing where we spend our money. And in many cases, that should go towards healthcare workers, mental health workers, social workers. We think about people who are homeless and often have interactions with the police. They don't need a police interaction. They need a place to live. They need help with addiction sometimes, help with mental health, help with finding a job, help with securing, the social worker. Those needs are what they need to be addressed, as opposed to what services a police officer could provide. So in a lot of ways, that's really more the solution, that we need to reprioritize our approach to the problems that exist in society, and there's better solutions than calling the police.
Morning, Mr. Singh. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News. On the body cameras, after a nudge by the Prime Minister, the RCMP are now outfitting some Mounties with body cameras. Can you be very clear on whether you support this specific initiative, and who do you think should fund it?
So when you're speaking about the RCMP, that would be federal jurisdiction. So that's something that would be a federal budget. It's something I support. Absolutely. I support accountability. I think the bigger discussion that we're having today is, and recently in the past weeks is about where we're prioritizing our funding and where we're putting our resources. And I think that is a bigger discussion about how we create safer communities. And the way we create safer community is in a more direct way by providing better services. And so in a lot of cases, we've heard more and more about the fact that police are called for mental health concerns, and they're not well equipped for that. They're not well trained for that, and that's not their profession. And so there's many examples where we could say, well, there should be a healthcare worker that responds and not a police officer. And the way we spend our money is something I think is the bigger question. And I think we should be really honest about how we can spend it in a better way to make communities safer. On the specific body camera, it is a part of the solution in terms of accountability. And if it's something that we can put in place at the federal level with the RCMP, it would be a federal responsibility to do.
Switching topics, if I recall correctly, a motion was amended on behalf of your party in April to add a promise that the government won't unjustly penalize anyone who is in good faith, who is applying for the CERB, receives it, but then is found to be ineligible. Do you feel that the Liberals are being straight with you in party talks?
So that's what I was alluding to. Thank you for bringing up the exact language. So there was a commitment in this parliament by the Liberal government, and in fact, all parties agreed that people should not be unduly penalized if they apply in good faith. What we're hearing reported in the media now with the bill is the exact opposite of that. They're effectively opening up the floodgates to retroactively charging people just for applying, people who apply. And that is the opposite of what we should be doing in a pandemic. So I'm disappointed is the wrong. I am outraged that the Liberal government, that the Prime Minister Trudeau could take a knee on one day, while at the same time the Liberal government is drafting a bill that's going to penalize potentially people who applied in good faith but maybe didn't meet a certain criteria. That is wrong.
Do you feel the Liberals misled you and your party?
I think that they've misled the Canadian people more important than me. I mean, sure, that was a commitment made to me, but more importantly, that was a commitment made to Canadians. When they passed that motion in the House, that was a commitment made by the Prime Minister directly to Canadians that people would not be penalized. And then when ministers and members of Parliament came out and doubled down on that message that people would not be penalized, that was a commitment to Canadians. Now, our job as New Democrats is going to fight to make sure that they follow through on their commitments. But let's not get it wrong. This is a commitment that the Prime Minister Trudeau and the Liberal government made, sure to me, but more importantly, made to Canadians. And we're going to hold them to account so they don't betray Canadians.
We'll take one last question on the phone. Operator, do we have our last question?
Yes, thank you, merci. La dernière question est de Lina Dib de la presse canadienne. La parole est à vous. Votre ligne est ouverte.
Oui, bonjour, M. Singh. Je suppose que vous allez vouloir amender le projet de loi ou négocier quelque chose qui a rapport au prolongement de la PCU. Alors, pourriez-vous être spécifique et dire jusqu'à quand vous voulez que la PCU soit prolongée?
Merci pour la question. Je pense que jusqu'au moment qu'on est sûr que les familles peuvent rejoindre les débuts, jusqu'au moment qu'on sait que les gens ont la capacité de retourner au travail. On est dans une pandémie et il y a beaucoup de précarité et incertitude. Donc, ce que je veux établir, c'est un peu de certitude pour les familles qu'ils peuvent savoir que oui, on peut acheter la nourriture, on peut payer les factures. Donc, c'est difficile de dire exactement quand. Ça dépend sur quand le gouvernement, quand l'économie est ouverte et quand le travail commence encore pour vrai. Donc, je peux dire jusqu'au moment que les gens peuvent retourner au travail.
Je comprends votre intention, M. Singh, mais je ne vois pas comment ça se traduit en texte législatif, ça, jusqu'au moment où tout le monde va aller bien. Alors, est-ce que vous avez une demande spécifique avec une date, un nombre de mois, un nombre de semaines?
Un prolongement pour l'instant, au moins, on a eu la PCU pour presque 4 mois, pour les prochaines 4 mois au moins, et puis on peut vérifier si on a besoin de continuer ou non, mais c'est clair pour le moment, il faut le prolonger au moins le même montant de temps qu'on a commencé. Au moins un autre 4 mois, quelque chose comme ça, pour s'assurer que les gens peuvent payer leurs factures et acheter la bouffe. Aussi, il y a eu une demande pour répéter la réponse en anglais, donc je m'excuse pour l'instant.
Allez-y.
So, which part was it again?
Well, just the 4 months and how long you think that CERB should be.
Okay, yes. So it's not what I said, yes. It's not easy to say exactly how long it needs to be extended for because we don't know how long we're going to be in a pandemic. I think that's hard to predict, and that's fair that it's hard to predict. But what we should do at least is, this has been in place for about 4 months, at least another 4 months to give Canadians that reassurance that it's still there. And then we can reevaluate after that and see, does it need to be extended again? But at a minimum right now, with the massive uncertainty and not knowing if people can get back to work and a potential second wave, for all these reasons, we should at least do exactly what we've done before, repeat that for 4 months at least, and then consider whether it needs to go further or whether it can end at that point.
Ceci met fin à la conférence de presse.
Je pense qu'elle a la deuxième question.
Oh, excuse-moi, Lina, t'avais-tu posé ta deuxième? Excuse-moi. Vas-y. Plus ou moins, oui, je sais. Vas-y.
OK, merci. Donc, vu que j'ai une autre chance, si je peux revenir sur les questions d'Hélène, and maybe we can try this in English. I don't quite understand the logic where you go from we shouldn't be penalizing people who are getting CERB without having the right to get CERB, because this would be in somehow more systemic racism. I don't see that link. Can you try to explain that link in English?
Sure.
Maybe easier than in French.
Yeah. I'll try both, because I probably would have gotten.
Okay.
I probably would have got. If I did it in French, I would have got someone asking me to do it again in English anyway. So I'll do both. I'll give it a try in both. I'll start with English and I'll do French. So maybe I can give my thoughts in that way. So two parts. One is off the top, when people applied for the CERB, there was limited criteria that meant that a lot of people who needed it didn't get it. We got a report that millions of Canadians who needed CERB didn't qualify for a minor technicality. And then those were expanded. So initially, if you earned some money, you couldn't apply. They expanded it to $1,000 and then people could apply. So initially it was difficult to get, and then there was changes brought in. And what was said was by the government, we put forward a motion saying people wouldn't be unduly punished if they applied in good faith. So if they applied because they needed it, but they were not sure if they hit all the criteria exactly, they would apply. And then the Prime Minister came out and said really clearly that in COVID-19, racialized people were the most impacted. And that's a fact. If we look at Montreal Nord, the racialized community was most impacted, most number of deaths. And in the States, it's very clear that the people that were most impacted were racialized people. In the number of deaths, in the number of infections, it's very clear that there was a race-based connection. And that's why we've been calling for race-based data. We don't have that same data in Canada, but we know that there's some examples that people who are racialized were most impacted. So racialized people were most impacted. Anytime there's a law that's brought forward, any criminal law, the evidence is that anytime a new criminal law is brought in, it's racialized people that are most impacted by that law. Whether we talk about mandatory minimums, whether we talk about minor drug possession, marijuana laws, marijuana convictions that now is now legal, marijuana possession, it was mostly racialized people that were charged with it. And that's the whole problem with policing, is that there's an over-policing of racialized people. Anytime there's a law, it's racialized people that get more policed. It's not that they commit the offense more, they get more policed, and then they end up being charged more and convicted more, and they have more criminal sentences. And they have less resources, less money, less ability to defend themselves, less ability to get a lawyer. And so similarly, if now there's going to be a criminal law where someone who tried to apply for the CERB, but maybe didn't hit exactly the right qualifications, and the government has said that's okay, try anyways, if you apply in good faith, you won't get in trouble. And now they're saying you're going to get in trouble. That's going to impact, without a doubt, racialized people more than anyone else. That's the whole reason why we're talking about the over incarceration of Black and Indigenous people, is because the laws as they are when they're applied, will impact people who are most vulnerable. And that's what happens. That's why there's more Black and Indigenous people in jails. They have less resources, less ability to hire a lawyer, less ability to defend themselves. And so if this is now going to be a criminal sanction, it's going to be, I guarantee you, the outcome will be, if this law is passed, there will be more Black, more Indigenous, more racialized people, poorer people that are going to be the ones that get criminalized and end up in jail. And that is the exact opposite of what we need to do. Right now, we're talking about the importance of not doing that. We're saying that we've got to change the systemic racism in society. And that's why we should not approach a problem with the criminal justice. We should approach it with the tax system and not put people in jail, but find ways to recover money that needs to be recovered. We can do that. But if we use a criminal system, it's going to put people in jail, they're going to get criminal records, and their lives will be ruined. And to ruin someone's life on top of a pandemic would be the wrong thing to do. Donc, je vais laisser court en français. Le Premier ministre a dit qu'il y a eu un impact racisé de COVID-19. Ça veut dire que les communautés racisées ont eu un plus grand impact que les autres communautés. C'est la même preuve qu'on a vue aux États-Unis. C'est clair que l'impact de COVID-19 a touché les communautés racisées plus que les autres communautés. Donc, ça, c'est un fait. Et puis, le gouvernement a dit que vous pouvez faire une application, même si vous n'êtes pas exactement sûr, on ne va pas punir les gens qui font une application en bonne foi. Mais maintenant, avec le projet de loi qu'il propose, il dit effectivement que si vous avez fait une application de bonne foi, mais vous n'étiez pas qualifié, maintenant, il y a un danger d'être puni. Et tout le temps, avec les nouvelles façons de punir les gens dans une manière criminelle, ça touche les communautés les plus vulnérables et ça touche les communautés les plus... ça a plus touché la communauté racisée. Donc, ce qui va passer avec un projet de loi proposé par le gouvernement, ça va avoir, je peux le dire concrètement, ça va avoir un plus grand impact sur les communautés racisées. Et c'est exactement l'opposé de ce moment où on dit qu'il faut faire face à le racisme systémique et le racisme anti-noir. Et ce que le gouvernement propose va faire le complètement opposé de ça. Donc, j'espère que j'ai bien résumé ce que j'ai dit effectivement en anglais et français. Merci.
Ceci met fin à la conférence de presse. This concludes the press conference. Thank you.